10 teams. We have 10 teams that will not return their starting quarterback from last season. That's a lot.
Who won't miss their starting quarterback. No,
Sorry?
it's 10 national teams who won't miss their starting quarterback.
Who will not miss their starting quarterbacks from 2023. So Caleb has the list up online right now. As you can imagine, Tennessee is going to be a factor in that. But let's start with another SEC team. You had Vanderbilt at number 10.
Yes. Guys, Vanderbilt may have actually upgraded at quarterback. I don't know how much good it'll do them, but they lost A.J. Swan, who transferred to LSU, which was weird, and Ken Seals transferred to TCU. But 5 newcomers have been added to Vanderbilt at quarterback. The standout, though, is New Mexico State transfer Diego Pavia. He was just under 3,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards last year, and he's coming with his offensive coordinator from New Mexico State, Tim Beck, who was hired. If you don't remember, Tim Beck was the head coach at Illinois who ran a finesse offense but couldn't get anything else going. But he does know offense. So I think Vanderbilt will be better at signal caller this year.
Okay. Then you have a list of about every ACC and Big Ten team I could find. Wisconsin, Wake Forest, NC State, Mississippi State, Miami.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know Mississippi State was in the ACC.
It was not. My bad. But a couple of teams I want to ask you specifically about, and that is Mississippi State at number 6. Still trying to bounce back from the terrible Mike Leach tragedy. I can't help but root for them, Caleb, just because of what they've been through.
Well, I wanted to get to them, but I wanted to explain each one. Wisconsin at number 9 because they had a Miami transfer, Tyler Van Dyke, Luke Fickell, who couldn't really get anything going last year with the offense he had his first year. So Braden Locke and Tanner Mordecai are both gone. Tyler Van Dyke comes from Miami. Van Dyke is a better fit for the pro style. That's why he struggled with Mario Cristobal. That's why they'll be better. Wake Forest has a former Tennessee offensive coordinator, and Dave Clawson still there, who, whatever else you think of him, Dave, is actually a very good offensive coach. And
I could have told him earlier in his career, and he would have been a better offensive line coach a lot sooner. And that was, don't flip your offensive line.
Yes. So
when he stopped that, he had success at Wake. That's exactly what happened.
So he lost Mitch Griffs and Michael Kern, who both transferred out, but they combined for 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And now he's added a Boise State and Louisiana Tech transfer, Hank Bachmeier, who has been very good when healthy, pro-style quarterback. NC State's relevant. As we all know, Tennessee plays NC State this year. Dave Doran lost Brennan Armstrong to graduation. MJ Morris was his up-and-comer, but he's going to Maryland. They have added Grayson McCall, who, if you remember, Jamie Chadwell, the Coastal Carolina offensive juggernaut coach, turned him into a superstar. McCall has 88 touchdowns, just 14 interceptions this year. He's going to make NC State a major threat. Now, to Mississippi State, who you brought up. Yeah, the Mike Leach tragedy was awful. People are a little weirded out about this because they were very high on Will Rogers, Mississippi State quarterback Will Rogers.
I was high on Will Rogers, too.
Yeah. I think the reason they won't miss him is not because of him. It's because he wasn't in the right system last year without Mike Leach. He had a massive drop-off in production last year without Mike Leach.
Yes.
And they've added Blake Shapen from the Baylor Bears. With Jeff Lebby, guys, you heard it here first. I keep saying this. Jeff Lebby is the next offensive superstar coach in the SEC. He will, in 3 years, we'll be talking about him the same way we do Josh Heupel and Lane Kiffin. In the exact same conversation. He is that good, and he may be better than those two. I think he might be a little more versatile. I'm a big Jeff Lebby fan.
Number 1 on the list, you might be able to guess. Caleb wrote it. Get mad at him. And first, I'll tell you 15 seconds and why Newbert Collision Center needs to be your one-stop shop for body damage.
5th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
All right, so count me down, Caleb. Where are we now as we will get to Tennessee?
Number 5, as unintelligent as Mario Cristobal may be, he does run a spread offense, and he lost Tyler Van Dyke. I just mentioned him. It's funny, Dave. I said Wisconsin upgrades by getting Tyler Van Dyke out of Miami. Miami upgrades by losing Tyler Van Dyke to Wisconsin because he's a pro-style quarterback, and they are going to add Cameron Ward, the Washington State quarterback. Remember him last year, Dave? Remember how he was a Heisman contender for 2 months before the last month?
I do.
And he's a great fit for Mario Cristobal's offense. If Mario Cristobal knows how to take a knee when his team is up with seconds to go, they could be much better this year.
Is Mario Cristobal the worst, air quote, offensive coach? And by offensive coach, I mean a guy that's gotten a head coaching position because of his background. So defensive head coach, offensive head coach. Is he the worst offensive head coach that has gotten that job because he's an offensive coach in college football? I mean, honestly, he's gotten a pretty darn good job for being incredibly average.
He has. Look
at the places he's coached. I mean, Alabama, I mean, you're going to win there. Oregon, you're going to win there. It just seems like he's the lovable redheaded stepchild of the Alabama family.
Yeah, but there's one who has them all beat for this, Dave.
Is it
Chad Morris?
Oh, Chad Morris!
Hired as an offensive mind and was a massive flame out.
Chad Morris actually received the Butch Jones Award they do a big ceremony at the end of the Saban Academy every year, and he won a big award. It was the Butch Jones Award that you get a real head coaching job. His response was, "Oh, I kind of like it around here. I don't know that I want any real pressure." Chad Morris is the best for a poster boy for the Saban rehab facility, no question.
Oh yeah. Okay, so number 4, Mel Tucker, you mentioned him. He is gone. Jonathan Smith comes there from Oregon State, who I think did a heck of a job there. Michigan State lost both their quarterbacks, Skaten Hauser and Noah Kim. They're not missing them. They are going to add transfer Aiden Childs, who also comes from Oregon State. Going to introduce the spread. I think that'll make him competitive with Michigan. By the way, I want to do a sidebar real quick because, Dave, a bunch of people have asked me about Michigan on this list. Like, wouldn't they have a highly touted quarterback? And I don't know how you feel about this, but I don't think game managers who win national championships are easy to replace at quarterback.
I will agree with you, but if you say the name Troy Aikman, then end of the show.
No, I was not going to say Troy Aikman.
Okay. Because some people say that about him, that he was a game manager. No, for the most part, I think the Michigan quarterback under Jim Harbaugh, who's not there anymore, but he was going to be asked to be a game manager. I don't think they were going to throw any Randall Cunningham out there and say, make 5 plays and the defense will win it. I think I think Jim Harbaugh wanted an extension of himself, and I think Josh Heupel does too, to a large extent.
No, I totally agree. So let's have a little fun at number 3. Y'all are going to troll me because y'all are actually laughing at me putting faith in Kentucky. But Devin Leary, can we agree, did not live up to what he was supposed to be last year as Will Levis's replacement with Liam Cohen back, right?
I did not have, you may have seen me roll my eyes. It wasn't you. I didn't have high expectations in the beginning. So saying Devin Leary didn't live up to expectations is kind of like saying the sun came up this morning. I wasn't stunned.
Okay, but now they've got Brock Vandergrift, who by all accounts would have been a superstar quarterback at Georgia if he wasn't behind the best quarterback maybe Georgia's ever had. And
yes,
they got him.
I give you that one for sure. I think that's a great one. Yeah, I got no argument. Anybody that's picking fun at that doesn't get it. I mean, this is an upgrade at the position, no question.
And they also are adding Vandergrift. For those who don't know, his talent is his vision. It's not like, Kirby Smart's typically gone for the big arm. Vandergrift's known for his vision and his elusiveness and his mobility. They're bringing in Bush Hamden from Boise State to run the West Coast offense there. I think that's going to be a very effective offense for Kentucky. I think Mark Stoops knows what he's doing.
Yep, and he's going to try to control the ball a little bit, and he's going to try to field a defense that can bend but not break. It's basically the exact opposite of what Tennessee does. So what Tennessee does, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to try to score as many points, which, yeah, everybody wants to score points. But on the flip side, defensively, they're willing to be aggressive as well, in that they're going to give up some big plays, but they are going to flip the field with a turnover. Kentucky is the exact opposite. They just want to bend but not break, make a play once they get their backs against their own goal line, and then on offense, score as few points as you have to win, Caleb.
Yeah, exactly. And with the West Coast, they can now do ball control because, as you know, Dave, the West Coast offense is pass happy, but it's kind of a pass happy way to play time of possession, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, all those Roger Craig little those were extended runs when he'd catch a little slant pattern out of the backfield. That was a running play. If you went back and counted all those as running plays, which you could, the West Coast offense was probably about 65% run.
Yeah,
I know that sounds insane, but those little slant passes, that's an extended toss sweep. That's what that is.
You're right. They should almost be counted as rushing yards for the receiver rather than passing yards for the quarterback, but that's a different thought.
And the stories I can tell you about that coaching staff would blow your mind, and I'm absolutely not going to do it. Rest in peace, Bill Walsh. You're a great man.
All right. So,
now you got now, are we at number one yet?
No, number two.
Number two.
This one could have been number one. Ohio State. Now, Ryan Day's on the hot seat. But one of the biggest reasons he's on the hot seat, Dave, is he wasted last year's team of talent with a quarterback who wasn't fit to run the offense in Kyle McCord. I cannot believe he believed in Kyle McCord to run that offense.
I was surprised too at the beginning of the year. I thought maybe I tried to give coaches benefit of the doubt. I thought he knew something that I didn't know.
And he clearly didn't. And because Will Howard has now since transferred to Syracuse. I'm not Will Howard. Kyle McCord has transferred to Syracuse. They brought in Will Howard from Kansas State, who is the next elite dual threat quarterback of the Big Ten. I don't know how it's going to work with Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. I think the unfortunate thing is Ohio State has lost a lot of talent. But
Caleb, I think you're contradicting yourself a little bit. You're telling me that, okay, what do you think Ohio State's going to do this year?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Ohio State's going to have major regression this year, but it won't be because of their quarterback play. They're not going to miss their quarterback. They're going to be mad that they regressed everywhere else.
Okay, but what you're telling me is that a program with theoretically all the talent in the world, they should have, right? I mean,
yes.
Okay. And an elite quarterback that you claim, not me, I don't know him as well as you do. That's in the Big Ten, at least winning that conference, isn't it?
I think other Big Ten schools have gotten more competitive recently.
Okay, true.
And I think that the Chip Kelly, Ryan Day marriage will clash.
I agree.
To a certain degree.
I agree that everything could implode. Everything that's going on in Columbus could implode. But if it doesn't, let's play that route. If it doesn't, then you're talking about Ohio State being a really good football team.
Oh, they're going to be a really good football team. If it doesn't implode. I just don't know if it'll be national championship contending because, again, they lost too much talent elsewhere. Ohio State, if they had Will Howard on last year's team, they're winning a national title. And I picked them to win it going into last year because they had the most NFL draft picks, like first-round NFL draft picks. And you can look at it. Ohio State was probably top-heavy, not depth-wise, but top-heavy. Dave, Ohio State was the most talented team in college football last year. More than Georgia, more than Alabama, more than Michigan. And yeah, so
but for the record, and a lot of you know this because we've discussed it already, Georgia is the favorite to win a national championship at plus 300. Ohio State, though, just right behind it, plus 400. Then you get into some quality at Texas at plus 750. Despite what you think about Texas, they were knocking on the door, and plus 750 is pretty good. I don't like Oregon at plus 1,000, but Ole Miss at plus 1,400 with a playoff format. I don't hate that as the other quality bet on that list that I quickly ran off.
You don't think that, given the way this team has been strung together, something's going to implode on Ole Miss? I don't mean implode like they'll go 2-10. I mean implode like
yes.
There's no way they're going undefeated with that team.
We officially have to enact a new implode rule. Caleb and I do, because there are so many teams that are so desperate to win right now, they could put themselves in implosion position. And if you've ever been in implosion position before, you know it's highly uncomfortable in your sciatic nerve. So they are in implosion position with a lot of other teams. So I think we're going to have to judge teams off what could happen if there's not an implosion. So I think Ole Miss could implode. maybe 51% will implode. But if they don't, they're going to be pretty good. Same thing I would say with Ohio State if they don't implode. If they implode, they could do what Tennessee did in 2008. That can happen.
It's like people who are very, very desperate to get into a home now, so they take a really, really bad interest rate with a really, really bad neighborhood, and then the housing market crashes and they've lost everything. That's basically what it is with a school like Ole Miss or Ohio State right now. And so, yeah.
You can always refinance is what they'll tell you.
Well, yeah, and Lane Kiffin is the king of refinancing. Let's call it what it is. Lane Kiffin will refinance every year, basically.
With women.
So speaking of refinancing,
I got your down payment right here.
Oh my gosh.
Huh?
I got your down payment down here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
how about a little of this escrow? All right.
Oh God.
Okay, but in all seriousness, you do have Tennessee number one. I get accused of ripping on Joe Milton, so I'm not going to do it. But why is Tennessee significantly better with essentially a first-year starter as opposed to a guy that had played an awful lot of football? Because on face value, without seeing those guys, if I just pitched that to you, hey, Caleb, my name's Dave, I just met you on the street, you would say, man, if they just could have had one more year off that really talented guy, Joe Milton. But you know more than the average dude on the street.
Yeah, Nico's just a better fit for this offense. And, okay, I'm going to say this.
And you say did a lot. I'm just going to say better player. I don't care which offense.
I'm being nice, but I'll say it this way. Very uneducated people, Dave, think Tennessee's losing something with Joe Milton because they looked at a stat line. Now, pretend you don't know that Josh Heupel's Tennessee's coach. Pretend you don't know about the offense. If I told you a quarterback completed 65% of his passes for 2,800 yards, averaged 8 yards at attempt, ran for another 300 yards, had 27 total touchdowns and just 5 picks, you'd be like, I'll take that any day, right?
Yes. Yes. And I'll give you an example. A lot of us as sports writers were oftentimes as freelance stuff, we would write about teams that we didn't cover, like for the Athlons and Lindy's and those sorts of things. And you did have to take a leap of faith with some teams if they assigned you, say, the University of Michigan, Wisconsin, or something crazy. I mean, you did have to take a leap of faith. So if I looked at that stat and I said they're losing that guy, I'm like, major, huge loss, take a step back. But knowing it up close, I don't feel that way at all.
Exactly. Because anybody who knows Josh Heupel's system knows that you're not supposed to put up very good numbers as a quarterback in Josh Heupel's system. You're supposed to put up video game numbers as a quarterback in Josh Heupel's system. He literally designs his system for you to put up video game numbers. So that's what Nico is designed to do, is to put up video game numbers in this system, which is why, yes, Tennessee will not miss Joe Milton. That does not mean they don't respect Joe Milton. That doesn't mean they don't hold him in high regard as a person. They're not going to miss him, though. They're not going to miss him at all. And you'll see that.
I'm going to give you 15, anybody on the message board, I'm going to give you 15 seconds to think of what aspect, because I've got one, what aspect of Joe Milton's game Tennessee will miss this upcoming year. So I've got a really good one. 15 seconds, brought to you by Varner Ford.
Big Ben 4x4, $29,743. A 2024 T250 low roof cargo van, $51,955. 24 model Ford F-150 4x4 crew cab, $46,929. Varner Ford, your East Tennessee Ford dealership.
I think Joe Milton had one thing going for him that can't be replicated, and it may have hurt him at times, but I think it helped him at times. And that was that not a laissez-faire attitude, but I don't think he got too serious in serious situations, and that helped him at times. I think it hurt him at times when he should have taken things more seriously early in his career. But as far as something that Tennessee could miss, they could miss that even keel top approach that Joe Milton had. We don't know what Nico's approach is going to be 100% yet.
Yes, that's very true. We don't.
I mean, he could get out there and panic, completely freak. I mean, he could.
It's kind of the like, do you want the Peyton Manning or do you want the Casey Clausen? I guess.
I know.
Peyton,
who would you do?
Casey.
I love Casey. I still believe to this day Casey is the most underrated player that I ever covered. But maybe
wait.
Well, but let me finish.
Underrated, but taking him over Peyton.
Oh, no. Peyton's a better quarterback. But as far as guys to cover, guys that I just enjoyed covering, and I didn't cover most of Peyton's career, in all fairness. So I didn't have a tight relationship with him.
I think Peyton is more likely, and this is Joe Milton's problem with his lackadaisical approach. You don't, and this is actually, we talked about Hendon Hooker's leadership, Dave. A lot of people will bring up a lot of Joe Milton's players didn't deliver as much for him last year, and that actually might be true. But maybe it's because Joe Milton didn't demand it. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Trevor says with Milton, I'll miss having something to complain about.
Well,
all right.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
I'm just going to say it. Hendon Hooker in 2022, the reason people delivered for him, Dave, I think players were scared to not perform for Hooker, honestly. I think they were kind of scared. You talk about it. He becomes very, very intense in the game. And players were scared to not perform for that. They were not as scared to not perform for Joe Milton.
Oh, I'll give you that. I wouldn't use scared, but I would use the term negatively reinforced.
It's going from Jimmy Johnson to Barry Switzer.
Oh, that's okay. You got me there. That's pretty good.